Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Comics News Today for the 3rd of October, a Thursday. And do keep in mind, of course, later on we have a Drawn and Quarter Fan Edition, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have Magic Cop on there. We've got a bunch of things we're going to cover today, guys. But of course, big thing we have here is that we got Roland Mann and we got Barb in here as well, and we're going to be talking to them in a momentarily about their cat and mouse. But of course, keep in mind, as we always say, we got a bunch of links down below. Please check them out, particularly the fan speak over on Facebook. And do keep in mind that community is growing and getting bigger and bigger, and there's a lot of interaction with it, which is what we really love. So if you're not part of that, please go get part of it. And more importantly, give your opinion. Whatever it is, if you're selling something, sell it. We don't restrict those things on the FanSpeak page. We're happy to have you and happy to have your interaction. So thank you all very much. Do keep in mind this is FanSpeak, and of course this is about live streaming and have the fans get their opinions and talking to some of the creators and stuff and comics and trying not to drool so much over how excited we are to meet these famous people. And therefore, we want to have you on here, right? We want your voice to be heard. So therefore, just go down to the bottom of the links. You're going to see my Twitter in there. Hit it up and say, Chester, put me on the show. And Chester will get that done. We're very happy to have you guys and come and join us. And of course, being live streamers, we also need you guys to hit that share button and let your family and friends and extended community know what's going on so they can come over here and visit us. Now, I do see we have Jennifer H. in the chat over there. Hello, Jennifer. We've got Eric Hawkins, the only Eric. He says, hey, hey, hey. Well, hey to you too, sir. Booster, who usually is in here, but he's a lazy boy. He says, sup, nerds. Well, sup to you as well. We got Thundero in there. Evening. Well, hello, Thundero. And, of course, Dinale, for some reason, is saying share it out, even though he could probably say it with his own voice. But let me come over to him last, which I always do. The first we're going to do is come over and say hello to Slick Jimmy. Hello, Slick.
How you guys doing tonight? I'm just glad to be part of the party, and I'm probably going to be listening more than talking. But
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Well, that's good. Glad to have you here, dude. Glad to have you here. Now, of course, at the end of the show, we'll give Slick a little bit of opportunity to promote himself as well. But of course, he is the creator of Little Girl Lethal, which is a great-looking comic and one of my favorite named new characters I've seen for quite a while. Tell us what the name of that character is. I love it, dude. Go ahead, Slick.
That would be Sugar Lightspeed.
Sugar Lightspeed. That is awesome, dude. I love that name. We just had a thing on yesterday. We were talking about Indiegogo projects that's going on as well. And that, of course, Doc Salem. What a clever idea that they had there. You know, everyone always has to come up and say, well, Frankenstein is actually the doctor. You know, people always do that, right? But what he did was just made the doctor the monster. Very clever. I like it. Very cool. I'd love to see these cool names. And, of course, what we have today I will get to in a moment, but of course, it's a little bit of nostalgia coming back at us. But George, my most favorite angsty man, how you doing?
Greetings, everybody. Greetings. I'm doing well. It's just that it's raining, and it's really pissing me off.
Oh,
And I got harsh words to
you
use.
you do. Are we being sponsored by the number 3 today, or is it a different number or adjective?
No, I'm looking for the number potato.
The number potato. Okay. So you're having camera trouble. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
How very astute of you.
Thank
My
you.
gosh.
Yes. Well, I do remember that because, like I was talking about earlier, when I was modding about a year ago for Mike Miller, we got a lot of arguments and complaints about potato cameras, and of course, eventually Mike did solve that. So, potato is a known adjective to me. So, thank you, George. Thank you very much for being here, and we're looking forward to your angry input. Yes. All
Oh
right.
yes. Please, direct any questions to me.
I
I'll
sh-
be more than happy.
I shall. I shall. And of course, you guys also notice that, as usual, we were joined by the most Denali-ness of llamas. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hello, George.
I am not George. How dare you, sir?
No. Aloha, Chester. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Glad to talk about comics. Glad to have our special guests talk about their experience and their cat and mouse project that's on Kickstarter. So it's going to be a fun show, and I'm roaring to go and get at them with questions.
All
And
right,
stuff
there
like
you
that.
go. Awesome, dude. Now, of course, and we're going to jump right into it, guys. Now, we do have a little bit of a blast from the past here, especially for the older folks that do remember all that wild and woolly time of the early 90s when all that craziness was going on, and of course, a lot of coolness as well. And if you recall Cat and Mouse, I certainly do. And as well as all those really interesting things that were coming out at that time. It was quite exciting. It's kind of like now in a way, although I think it was more positive all around back then than it is now. But we're trying to make it positive. We're trying to push it forward. We're trying to make it something, right? But definitely, I want to come over here and say hello to Roland. This is Roland Mann, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and introduce his most esteemed inker. Please, Roland, take it away.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate it. Yep, I am Roland. I have been working in comics for about 30 years. I took a little break when the comic crash happened in 90s and in the late 90s. And I went back to school, got a degree, started teaching. But a lot of folks do remember me from the time that I spent at Malibu as an editor there, where I edited the Protectors line of stuff, X-Mutants, Dinosaurs for Hire, and then went over to become an editor at the Ultraverse, which is what most people remember. And I edited about half of the line there. And then when Marvel bought it and then shut it down, and then after that happened, this would have been 96. I went into this is when Silverline became a publisher initially, and of course that was a horrible time because the crash, and I lost a lot of money, but published some books and had a good time doing it. And then my wife said, "You got to stop losing money like this," and so I went and started teaching then. But about a decade ago, I realized that I used to have fun making comics, and I wanted to do that again. And so I just said, I'm teaching now. I got this is what I'm doing. I want to make some comics again. I want to do some comics. And so I stumbled upon a job. It was an adaptation for an Indian company, India meaning India, the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I did an adaptation of. They started a classics line, and I did an adaptation of Huckleberry Finn. And it's like, man, that was so much fun. And that's kind of how I got here. And then, of course, Barb, who is joining us as well. Barb is a longtime alum. We decided that she's got me beat by I thought she had me beat by a couple of years, but I guess the last time we were on this show, in credits, she's only got me beat by a few months. But she had been inking in comics since 80. So Cat and Mouse 1 was first published in 89, and I think Barb's first published work with credit was 89. But you ghosted for 2 years.
A year.
Okay, a year.
So I started messing around in 88, and then my first published work was in 89.
So the Barb is the veteran most of us.
Oh yeah, no, Barb is the female version of R.T. Bear, is what she is. She's done. Well, she's done everything, right?
Yes,
pretty much. Yeah. Worked for everybody.
She worked for everybody, inked a little bit of everybody, and it was kind of interesting. Sort of the way Silverline was reborn is that Dean Zachary and Barb have done a lot of work together, just on and off here and there, pinups and illustrations like that. And when Dean and I hooked up to do, we were going to do something completely unrelated. And just over a period of weeks and stuff, we actually even did 3 or 4 pages of this other project before Dean said, "Roland, what about Cat and Mouse?" And of course, the first thing I thought is like, Dean, you're sounding like a fan now who comes up to me and says, "When are you going to bring back Cat and Mouse? When are you going to bring back Cat and Mouse?" But when Dean said it, I'm like, okay, so what do you mean? He says, well, I mean, why don't we do Cat and Mouse? He says, you write up another story, I can draw it. And he said, we'll rope Barb in. And I said, oh, can you get Barb to do it? And he said, I think so. And so, Barb said yes, because she wanted to work with us. We were so much fun. And suddenly we looked around and we said, all 3 of us have these Malibu ties. And I said, I know this other guy. Let me reach out to this other guy. And so I reached out to Kevin Gallagly, and Kevin is a former colorist from Malibu Comics back in the day. And Kevin said, that sounds like a lot of fun. I would love to do it. And so we are 4 Malibu veterans making Cat and Mouse now.
Do the new boo.
The new boo. That's right.
The new boo. Well, remind my elderly brain, but I do recall Cat and Mouse was very much kind of a street level fighting book, kind of Batman-esque, if I could say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you gave me issue one to read in the PDF, which looks great, by the way, guys. And
Thank you.
I seem to have felt like toward the back of that, are you starting to introduce supernatural elements?
Well, the story is set in New Orleans, so it's kind of hard to do something in New Orleans that doesn't touch on some supernatural. But the answer to your question is yes, absolutely. There will be some supernatural stuffs happening in the book because New Orleans and comic books, right?
Interesting.
Voodoo.
Yeah. We actually the project we looked at yesterday was not set in New Orleans, but the creator is lifelong New Orleanese, whatever you call them. We'll have to make up a word for that. A person of New Orleans. Yeah, but it was a
I
because
think I think it's a New Orleanian,
New
isn't it?
Orleanian. All right, we'll take it.
New
Because
Orleanian, I think
I
so.
actually worked in New Orleans for about a year and a half, working on the what was it called? I can't remember the name of it. Fremont Street or something like that, and Bourbon Street. I'm a saxophone player. I was there for quite a while.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Well, no, I
Yeah,
not.
you were in the quarter.
Yeah, I
You were
was
in the
most
French Quarter.
certainly, most
Yeah.
certainly. Yeah.
Down
And
Bourbon Street.
I do played at the some of the big places there, but actually most of the jazz clubs are actually sitting on I think it's called Freeman Street, if I remember correctly, which is on like the back side. Bourbon Street kind of cuts into it perpendicular. But yeah, I
Yeah.
did play on Bourbon Street a little bit, but it was a great time. It was a good experience for me, but I didn't make any money at all. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'd be
You
working.
sound like a comic book creator.
Yeah, well, dude, I remember sitting in the Doors, playing, which is one of the most famous jazz clubs in New Orleans, right? I'm sitting and playing in the Doors, and playing with these freaking legends, dude. Just amazing people. Brad from Marsalis walk in, just sit up and start playing with you, right? And
Whoa.
yeah, that was because I was playing in the stage band at the time, and which was I was very proud of because it takes a lot to get that seat. But I made, how much? Guess how much I made a night? Go ahead. This is like the number one hot spot in Bourbon Street. It's the Doors. How much did I make a night, you think?
What, like a 3 hour long session?
Well, we split it between two sessions, but yeah, about 3 hours.
Okay, so I'm gonna guess. What year was this? Was this in the 90s or?
This was in 1990. Yeah,
Okay, so 1990. I'm gonna guess $75.
100,
I was going to say 100.
100.
Oh
Yeah,
wow!
100
Yeah.
bucks. $100. And when I was playing up in New York City, we do one set, right? That's like an hour, hour and a half, depending on the band. I get $1,000,
Jeez.
Wow.
right? So what a difference. But it's cool. But New Orleans wasn't a place to make money for me. It was a place to learn and educate myself, and it was quite the education. So, because you have to work your tail off, and I'm kind of curious
That's
with
cool
that.
though.
It is cool, but I'm kind of curious how it relates to you guys because you guys got a long experience. You've been in comics for quite a while, and what time, Barb? I'd like to start with you. At what time in your life did you really have to work your tail off to get your seat? You know what I mean?
Well, I started with Eternity Comics back in 1988 doing gray washes. And I went to my first San Diego Comic Con, sat down with an editor from Eternity and showed him my ink samples. And he goes, well, these are all right. Do you know how to do gray washes? And I said, yeah, no problem. I'm a whiz at gray washes. He goes, okay, we're going to put you on a couple of books. And I got off the plane from that convention and went to the library and checked out books on watercolor because I had no clue what that was, but I lied through my.
Yeah, I've done
So
that
I started.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You fake it till you make it.
that's right.
And so I started doing gray washes, and I don't even remember what I got paid for those. Nothing hardly. And then they said that they wanted me to do Planet of the Apes for Adventure Comics, and I was going to ink them and gray wash them. And my penciler was Kent Burrows.
Kent Burrows, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know, Ken.
Yep, I did 11 issues of Planet of the Apes, and my beginning pay for 24 pages, not 22, but 24 pages, inked and gray wash, was $400 for the whole book.
Wow.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that is entry level. It is entry level. It's funny you say that, fake it till you make it, right? This isn't relating to professional level at all, but I remember I came up to my high school. I'm a military kid, so I moved around a lot, and I came up to this high school, and I went in, and the band director, he asked me. He's a big old huge black guy, right? And he's a great musician too. And he asked me, he says, "All right, what do you play?" I said, "I'm a saxophone player." He says, "I got enough saxophone players. You play anything else?" I mean, I was shot right in my tracks, right? Because I've been playing sax since I was 5, right? So I played tuba. He says, "Great, that's my instrument."
Oh no.
He gave me a tuba. I took it. This is 2 weeks before school started. I just took it home, and then when I came to band day 1 of school, he didn't know I'd never played tuba before.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
Gotta do.
that's what you got to
I
do.
have.
Yeah,
I've gotten so many jobs that way.
yeah.
Just learn on
Absolutely.
the run.
That's right. Most should I? Anyway, we got Evan Reyes in here, and he says Malibu's Most Wanted doesn't sound bad. Well, congrats on meeting your goal in Kickstarter. By the way, I'm a backer. Oh, sweet, dude. Very nice.
Sweet. Thank you so very much.
All right. Well, we have getting a little bit off track here because we are here to talk about cat and mouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and bring up the Indiegogo page so we can start kind of going through it. Now, do keep in mind that you and I, we all had a conversation over on IndieCom TV, but this is not IndieCom TV. This is FanSpeak. So the people here may or may not have seen that presentation. So let me go over here and share this with you guys. And
shall I give my pitch?
Yes, you should. I'm going to bring it up and start showing the page, but you go ahead and speak right away.
All right. So, Cat and Mouse is a story of a guy who gets a telephone call from his ex-fiancée, and she says, "Hey, my kid's sister ran away. Would you go get her and bring her home?" It's his ex-fiancée, so he doesn't really want to, but he's studied to be a police officer, and so he says, "Okay, let me see what I can do." So he heads to New Orleans to find the kid's sister, only to discover she's been caught up in a human trafficking ring. So he has to figure out how to get her out of the human trafficking ring in order to get her home. And yes, there are ninjas involved.
Yes, ninjas. My neighbors.
Yeah.
Well,
Slaver ninjas, crazy man.
Awesome, right? Well, that's kind of inside joke. They over here in this FanSpeak, they're always making jokes that my neighbors are ninjas. So, and my
Yeah,
ninjas
that's
are
right.
neighbors as well, I guess. But
Wow. I
yeah.
mean, his father-in-law is the head of the ninja clan, so
Well, he's actually
Get
was
past
the
it.
vice mayor, but close enough, But now, one thing here, just for because I'm sure we have people in the chat, and of course, do keep in mind a lot of people will check this out later. That
Yep.
a lot of them maybe know nothing of cat and mouse, so we're going to kind of be introducing that to them. We also have plenty of people here that probably remember cat and mouse. So one thing that I had asked the last time we spoke that I think was a very interesting piece of information for me was the fact that are we continuing with the same characters or we have a new team coming in? Could you kind of lay that out for us?
Sure. This is a brand new team. For fans of the original Cat and Mouse, they will remember how the story ended, and those two characters had their arc complete at the end of the very last issue. Very much was a period on their story, and so as far as I'm concerned, their story is done. And these are two completely new characters who, when the story starts, they don't even go by the name of Cat and Mouse, and that's where the tie-in between the two volumes would come. Is that the teacher, the one that you're looking at right there, is the female ninja in our story. She's the teacher, and she's the one who kind of gives all her students their names. And so she's the one who named the original Cat and Mouse. She's the one who named some of the other characters in the original Cat and Mouse. She will be the one that names these characters. That's part of the story, though. It's part of what happens. So they don't start off, the story calling themselves, Cat and Mouse. But yeah, so that's where the tie-in will be. So these are two completely new characters. You don't have to have any knowledge of the first volume to read and understand this. This starts you at a point, a point one, point A, or I should say. If you read the first volume, you will recognize some of the secondary characters. You will recognize Kunoichi, who's on the screen right now. You'll recognize.
This is the Jonin here, right?
Yes, right. she's the teacher. She runs a karate school there in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's her day job, right? That's her secret ID. She runs a karate school for kids at in New Orleans, and then of course at night she fights crime.
Sweet. All right. So now the new characters we have coming in. Of course, we know about the male, which is Cat, I believe,
Right.
and he's how he's getting into the storyline. But who's Mouse?
Mouse is the one he goes to. That's the kid's sister, right? When his ex-fiance calls him, he ends up and he finds that she is wrapped up in a human trafficking, and so he has to get her out of that. She's the one who will become Mouse. He has to kind of prove to her that she's a runaway, right?
Hmm.
So he kind of has to prove to her that she's involved in something that's equally as evil as what she ran from. And we'll introduce that in the second. I don't want to give spoilers, but she runs from some bad stuff, and that will come out in the second issue. And so when he learns that she's run from this stuff, he's like, well, yes, that's terrible, and I'll help you to resolve this thing, but you can't run from one bad thing to another bad thing. And so he kind of has to prove to her that the situation she's in is a bad situation that involves the human trafficking. And when she does, she's kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place, and she's like, how do I get out of this now?
I see. Now, since the last time I spoke to you, this page has actually been updated.
Yes, those are new.
This is definitely new. Mouse
Yep.
earrings. This must have been Barb's idea.
Actually, it was.
See, I was expecting that. How dare you, sir? All right, go ahead.
A lot of the rewards on there were my idea, to be truthful, however. So she actually wears those earrings in all of the books, and that was not my idea. That she's been wearing those since the very beginning. So I just said we should do earrings, and then Kevin took it from there.
Yep, Kevin took it from there. He says, I think I can make some. And so he did a couple of little trial things and says, what do y'all think about this? We're like, what? Wow, that is so cool. So I asked him, I said, so how many do you feel, like that you can make? And he said, let's do 10. He said, I think if we can, get some folks support. And he goes, I think I can make 10. So there are 10. I know one is gone. I don't know how many are left without checking. But yeah, there are a total of 10 sets of mouse earrings. Perfect for a cosplayer or just someone who likes earrings.
Oh, that's
that would
cool.
be neat.
That's different. No, we've seen a lot of interesting add-ons to various projects. Anything from shirts to hoodies, stickers, bookmarks, like coins, poker chips,
waifu pillowcases.
That's right, waifu pillowcases. Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping it PG. But lots of stuff like that. You're right, Slick. But the earrings, nah, that's a first. That is a first.
It's cool though, isn't it?
It is cool. It is cool.
Yeah. Well, I got the idea because right from the very start, if you look at the art from issue 1 on, she's been wearing those earrings all along, and I thought, well, it's a natural.
Yeah,
Yep.
why not? Why not? And of course, you guys have met your goal here, and you get your first stretch goal has popped open, and we're coming into
I
this.
do have to update that.
You do have to update it, yes.
Yes,
But this brings us into your stretch goals, and of course, all your perks and stuff. What we'll do here is in a little bit, we're going to jump over and do a little bit of news, which we'd love to have your guys' input in it. And then for the last
Sure.
like 10 minutes of the show, we're going to come back and we're going to take a look at all your perks. So we'll get back to that. But I do want to cover the stretch goals, though. Here we have a stretch goal, which is already open, I think, with the $5,000 and
Trading card is, yes.
trading card. So why don't you lay that out a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm equally a comic book geek, and if you remember, the '90s were all about trading cards and trading card sets.
yeah.
The Ultraverse had all kind of sets, and so I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to that. I'm like, I want a cat and mouse trading card. Me, Roland, I want a cat and mouse trading card set. And so I'm like, well, I don't know how many other people like trading cards anymore. So the first one, when we did the Kickstarter for the first issue, we were able to, I said, well, let's add it on and see if, anybody wants it. Of course we did. So we got us a sweet trading card for the first one. And then we were talking about this one, and we already knew we wanted to do Mouse, but Mitch Faust had done this illustration for us, graciously, to help us in support of the Kickstarter, and it was beautiful. And so I showed it to Barb. I said, "Hey, do you want to ink this?" And she said, "Do I ever? Yes." So I sent it to. I wish I could find his email, but I sent it to Mitch and said, "What do you think about this?" He goes, "This is beautiful. Can I color it?" And he says, "I don't usually see my work," because Mitch kind of does all of his own. Mitch Faust does all of his own stuff, and he goes, "I don't usually see my work inked so beautifully." And so when he colored it and sent it back to me, I'm like, "Man, we've got to. This is the trading card. This is the trading card." And so, boy, that image is just a gorgeous. If you could get it. I don't know if I sent you just that image or not, but man, it's a beautiful image.
You talk about the one where she's arching her back and doing a flip here? Right?
No, I'm talking about the one to the left.
Yeah, the one
that's
to the left.
Mitch Faust there. Yeah.
That let me see if I can't hold my position and go to. There it is. Okay, here you go, guys. You get a much better look at it.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just it's a gorgeous piece.
It is pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Actually, let me come back. I do apologize for all the difficulties going on with your brain right now as I do that. But the one where she's arching her back and in a manner of a flip here, which we see a little bit better here, I like that one a lot too, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
You can see that. Yep, that's an Alex drawing. He was, Barb's got the inks right there. Alex was just playing around, trying to get a feel for the characters when he came on to draw the book, and he sent that to me, and I'm like, "Dang, this is sweet, dude." I said, "What? Can you send it to me at a higher resolution?" And he did, and just as kind of it went on, I'm like, "Okay, this belongs on the card." And then after I kind of put it on the card, when we were talking about stretch goals, he's like, "Why don't we do some stickers?" I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess we can." And then he sent me the Kunoichi sticker, and I'm like, "Okay, well, there's our sticker set right there."
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
So
now, Barb, I've come back over to the Hangouts here. Could you show those inks again?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Very nice. And she has Kamasugiri there in her hands. It's very nice. All right.
Yeah, that's Mitch Faust's stuff. His stuff is just gorgeous.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you have inks on the one where she's arching?
Nope, that was somebody else, and we love having guest artists because everybody gets tired of having the same artists all the time. So bringing in fresh blood is always a good sell.
I would say that no one ever gets tired of you, Barb.
Well, I'd like to think that. My ego would like to think that, but
Sure. I'm being that respectful because I'm like that. Anyway, let me jump back over. Now, you got that stretch goal is basically about to pop, and we have one here where we have the demon bookmark. Very nice. Now, I am kind of curious though. It's a little bit different. This demon character here. He is multi-tailed. Why did you? Where'd that idea come out of?
Well, so so I started reading comics in the 1970s. The Beast was the Beast of the Avengers of the 1970s, written by Steve Englehart, was probably one of my favorite characters at the time. This guy has his personality. He's not the Beast, right? But his personality is very much inspired from that. And I wanted to do something weird and different, and put one tail on him. I'm like, that's Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler's got a tail. I don't really want to do that. So a friend of mine said, "Why don't you just give him 3?" Like, yeah, okay. And so he has 3 prehensile tails, and they all can, they can hold and pick up things, and he can kind of control them in that way. And, there's really no deeper explanation for it than that.
Well, it's cool. Be different, and it is different, so that's cool.
Yeah.
We got another stretch goal here that you already talked about with a sticker set.
Yep.
And then of course you have another one. Now, I like when I see these, by the way. This is kind of being dynamic with your Indiegogo page, and we see this type of thing a lot more over in Kickstarter. I'm really happy to see Indiegogo people starting to do this. 200 backer. This is a backer one, not a money one. And tell us about the 200 backer reward.
So this was a Barb idea too, as we were talking about different things. She said, because we were trying to think of part of what you try to do when you think of stretch goals, or what are things that you can add easily that won't increase uh, the astronomically the cost. So you mentioned like a T-shirt and things like that. Well, those things would, you can't really include a T-shirt with every package without really increasing your postage cost and things like that.
That's right.
And so as we were talking, she said, well, do you have the script for the original volume of Cat and Mouse? And I said, I don't know. I don't think so, but let me ask my wife. And she said, yeah, let me show you this box. And so I found out that over the years, I had given my wife stuff. I'd write something, I'd give it to her. Hey, this is my latest one, whatever. She kept everything. And so she's got this treasure trove of scripts and photocopies and stuff I had no idea existed.
Yep.
So, so what you
Wives do
see
that,
up there, yeah, they do. So this is actually how I wrote my page by page plot for the very first issue of Cat and Mouse, and it's handwritten. This is the way I gave it to the artist. Here it is, right? And you can see up there, the plot is by Roland and Mitch and Stephen Butler. You can see all my scratch outs and stuff like that. I found also in the notes that she had, this is meeting notes from when we first sat down to talk about just the story. This is just kind of the outline of what the story is going to be. You can see I've actually got some notes defining like what the Yakuza is on the back, and the tattoos are called Iruzumi.
Iruzumi.
Iruzumi. So these are the notes from that. I also have the script, which I did it Marvel style. So there was the script. I like working Marvel style, and so the pencils were done, and then I went back in and added the dialogue. And one other thing I found in her treasure trove box there was I found sketches. So this will also be part of the stretch rewards. I'll make a nice little PDF of this. These are the thumbnails that Stephen Butler did for the covers to Cat and Mouse issues 2 and 3. Wow. And these are the covers. There's actually issue 2.
Very
so
nice.
You can see, yep. And then issue number 3. Sorry, I'm having to peek over to see it.
Nah, it's cool, dude. Yeah, that's great.
So, yep. So I'm gonna make and you can see the ones that didn't get selected were also very good. So this is going to be what everyone gets if we can get to 200 backers. I don't. It's a cool thing. I don't know that it's like, oh well, this is worth a lot of money. Well, I don't know that that's the case. But as Barb pointed out when we were talking about it, she goes, that's a kind of a cool cat and mouse historical thing that folks might be interested in seeing. The original script for the very first issue of Cat and Mouse.
I think it's a very cool stretch goal. And let me do apologize. So we're at 173 backers. You're actually not that far away from hitting that number. Unfortunately, we only have 41 hours left. Now, this is Kickstarter, not Indiegogo, so you cannot extend this project. Now, of course, you're already funded, so you're good to go as far as that goes. But that is kind of one of the nice things about Indiegogo. You can extend. I don't know. That's 27 backers in less than 2 days. It's possible though, dude. Especially because Kickstarters they tend to get the majority of their traffic in the last 2 days, particularly the last 24 hours. So it's doable. It is doable.
It is doable. It's a doable thing. Not a guarantee by any means. But it's very much a doable goal. So
absolutely. Now, of course, you guys know. Fingers crossed, absolutely. And of course, Dinale has been dropping that link over here, guys. So definitely go check it out. We definitely, even though the project has funded, we want more, obviously. And this is not only a new take on something. Of course, there's a bit of a nostalgia here with the original team coming in, which is really nice. Malibu team, it's cool. Definitely go over and check it out. And like we always say, if you can't back it yourself, you can at least share it out. And let people know, get more eyes on it, But you guys know that.
It's already done. the work's all done. It's ready to go.
Yeah,
the
which
book's
is a
ready to
good
ship.
thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. And this is a 4-part
It's not printed yet,
miniseries.
but you know.
Well, I'm sure you have a proof,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not. Yeah. The only thing we have to. I mean, obviously, we'll have to add the thank yous for the backers.
Sure.
Once we get that done. I mean, that page is not finished yet, but other than that, yeah, the book is just. I'm just waiting for it to finish and the Kickstarter funds, and then I'm gonna tell the printer, go make it happen.
Yeah, unlike a lot of Kickstarters where you wait for the money first and then say, well, maybe I better get busy and do this now. No, we're all done. We're ready to go.
Yeah. And you know, you guys know this. You know, you've been in the mixing about in the comics long enough. So you know the thing about that is this is very much a risk on the part of Barb. Barb has spent hours and hours and hours and hours inking this, and it's like, okay, well, we risk not being able to really generate any cash for this.
Mhm.
I mean, we're funded now, so I mean, but that's part of the risk of something about what we decided to do is we want to finish the book first, and then Kickstarter, then raise the money for it, right?
Sure.
Because we want potential backers to know to rest assured that, because we've seen, and you guys have probably talked about a whole bunch of them. We've seen too many of these crowdfunding that have gone on for months and months, and they haven't shipped, and the money's been there for months, and people are wondering, where's my books? Where's my books?
True.
Well, that's something that we never want to be the people that are included in those conversations. We want to be the ones that say, hey, I pledged. A little bit later, I got my book. Now, you like it or not, I mean, obviously, we want you to like it, but that's a whole different story. We want to make sure that you get your book in a very reasonable amount of time. So,
Yeah.
And I mean, we could have kickstarted on our names alone, and then done the work, because we're all industry professionals and stuff like that, and we have reputations, but we didn't choose to go that route. We wanted to have our names and have the book already done.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've seen a lot of projects that, in my opinion, I think have failed at, and I hope you guys have a plan for this, is not the project itself, but what you do after the project, right? The post project activities, like, is it going to be on Amazon's Comixology? Are you going to get it through into the brick and mortar? Do you guys have these kind of plans to continue, sell the book beyond the Kickstarter? I mean, Kickstarter is a great way to get the idea out there, get some money behind the project, but you can go beyond that. You can do more, and a lot of people don't.
yes. Yeah, our plan is that once we're done with the series, is we're going to go through and get to through the distributor, the one distributor that is there, and we're going to get into the brick and mortar stores. But this is just these crowdfunders are just a way for us to get the work done.
Mhm.
The last thing we'd want to do is push a book through Diamond and then have to wait 3-4 months before we get the second issue. That can be the death of an indie book.
That's true.
Through the brick and mortar stores.
That
So
is
we
true.
want to make sure we finish the entire run, and then we say, okay, look, here's the first issue, followed by the second issue, the third issue, the fourth issue.
That's good.
But
Well,
yes, our plan is we're going to go through Diamond.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm happy you have a plan on that, because one thing I've been saying here for quite a while, and I hope that a lot of the other Indian, now you guys are pros, you've been doing this a long time, and a lot of people that are doing the indie revival right now, they're kind of new to it, but they are putting out very interesting things though.
Yep.
And one thing I've really been saying to them is, hey, don't be afraid of trying to go through Diamond, because I had a conversation with the Diamond's PR commercial rep over on Pencil for Life's channel, and they were very vehement that they want to be part of the inner revival. They think it's cool.
Yeah.
And of course they want to make money, and they see money here. So I've said this to many people: don't be afraid of it. Try. You go beyond it.
Yeah.
You use your crowdfunding to get yourself set, but go beyond that. Make it something bigger than that.
And here's the asterisk to that. All right. The thing about it is, once you've done your crowdfunding, you've already done all the work. I mean, it's the book is finished. The book is funded. The book is, you've got it out there. You've got an original cover. You've got your exclusive crowd, whether that's Indiegogo or whether it's Kickstarter. You've got your exclusive cover. Get you a new cover. Send it to the comic shops, and then if you can do something in the comic shops, people are going, oh, this started as a crowdfunder. I would like to buy that book. Oh, I can't get it because they only did Kickstarter exclusives.
Yeah.
Who wants to give up their book? It becomes a collectible at that time, and all the work is done. I mean, you're finished. So to me, it's going to getting into Diamond is a no-brainer. It's like, why would you not?
Yeah,
Even
no,
if you don't sell that many copies, the state of the sales through comic shops today. I mean, even if you don't sell a lot of copies, so what? If they order 1,000 books, that's 1,000 you didn't sell beforehand, and your work is already done.
It's true.
That's just me. I get worked up about that because I agree with you. It's like, why would you not do that?
I am absolutely. Now, a very, very old man has come into the chat and he says, "Yeah, cat and mouse says." Yes, thank you, DeWolf. Now, the funny thing is, you guys haven't met DeWolf yet. He usually is on the show, but he's not on. Maybe he's got some family thing. But DeWolf is about our age, right? But he looks like he's 30. And he's a beautiful shape. He's a beautiful man, and we hate him.
I've heard you call him that on some of the other things.
Yeah.
You also call him. What's your nickname for him? You've got a nickname for him too, right?
The Chairman.
The Chairman. Yeah. I've heard you call him the Chairman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand that one, but I figure there's something behind it.
He bothered to put on a suit and tie for our first initial shows, so he just Chairman.
Yeah, the Chairman address.
You see, I dressed up, right?
Yeah,
I
did.
I got my T-shirt on.
Yeah. Well, it was, it's kind of fun being nostalgic and remember back when we started this channel a year ago, and I had my initial crew in there, and he was in his suit and tie, and he was so excited about it, and it's just what it came from. But it's funny for me thinking about all the mistakes I made in those first shows and how much we've learned, Dinale, because in my first shows, every one I tried to make sure I had 10 seats filled every damn time. Boy, that was stupid.
Wow.
That was stupid. You know how much work it was for me to manage 10 people?
I can only imagine.
It was playing telephone. It was like.
It was, dude.
Yes, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Yes.
Yes. You next. You next. You. It was totally non-organic, Right. But yeah, no, of course we appreciate DeWolf. All right, guys. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over and we're going to take a look at a little bit of news, like we always do on Comics News today, of course. And we're going to have Barb and Roland here give their opinion, be involved with the conversation, and then after we're done with that, could come back and take a look at their perks. So let me go ahead and do that. You ready, Dinale?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, because this is your job.
We don't have much time. Yeah, we don't have much time.
We're okay though. We're good to go. We're good to go.
Right.
Now the first one just made me laugh, and then I looked at it and I laughed again. So boom, here you go.
Right. So this is from Variety. Robert De Niro is accused of gender discrimination by an ex-employee.
Oh no! Say it isn't so, Mr. De Niro. The wild and woolly man. Go ahead, Barb.
Isn't that like every 10 minutes these days?
Well, Robert De Niro is a very interesting case study, I think. Of course, he was cussing and swearing and saying bad things to female employees. But, of course, in reality, he was probably saying vulgar things to everybody, right? Because he's a vulgar human being. That's what he is. But the interesting thing to me is he made a long, big career for himself. He made a name. He's a Hollywood legend. And then in the course of 3 years, he's absolutely torn apart his legacy, absolutely destroyed it. And why? Because he thinks, like so many of Hollywood, that we actually care what his opinion about politics is. It's amazing to me how he's destroyed his complete legacy in such a short period of time. And it's sad because Robert De Niro is awesome. We loved him in so much stuff, but he's absolutely killed himself. Absolutely killed himself. Yeah. This is a non-story. Okay, he said naughty words to ladies, but I'm sure he was worse with the men. And of course, they won't mention that in this article, of course.
No.
Yeah. Is there anything? Go ahead, Rob.
Right, and go ahead.
I was just going to say, my opinion on you mentioned that about the actors. My opinion on that is much in the kind of the same way I feel about comic book creators. It's like, no one really cares what my politics are.
No.
And my job is not to tell you what my politics are. My job is to create a comic book that entertains you. And if I can do that, then I'm doing my work. But as soon as I start talking about my politics, I was like, why? Why does I make comic books? Why does my opinion on political matters of any sort really matter?
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Just make comic books.
Yeah. And
My job is to entertain you. My
That's
job is
right.
not to tell you
Exactly.
what you
That's
should be
right.
thinking.
Yeah. But I
That's
mean,
right.
think about this though. I mean, because Robert De Niro is one of the true Hollywood legends. He truly is,
Yep.
and it's well deserved. It's a lifelong work that he's put together. But look how badly he's destroyed himself in this time for just being a lunatic. What do they call it? What are you guys calling it? You call it something like the Trump derangement syndrome or something like that. But it's really sad. But you're right,
It
guys.
is.
It
Skip.
is sad.
That's very
Yeah,
poor. That's very poor actions on his part. I have to
it
admit,
is. It
I would
is.
be pissed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
silly because I don't care what you think about that dude, and he's so mean and well, whatever. Next,
Yeah.
ooh, comic book news, Denali. That's what I want to see. Go
Right.
ahead, dude.
Right. So this is from Screen Rant, which is owned by CBS, one of the 3 blog site that is owned by that corporation. And the headline from Thomas Bacon is even Charles Xavier admits that the X-Men dream is dead. And him being Martin Luther King and saying, you can't have peace with normal people and mutants, which is kind of anti what the character is in all points of things. So
So
it's kind of strange.
if he's the Denali, if he's the Martin Luther King, does that mean Magneto is Malcolm X?
Yeah, that was the analogy. If I remember what Stan Lee said back, when they asked what the inspiration was, and one of the things that he wrote was, I took what was happening in the politics in the newspaper, incorporated it, but never allowed the politics to overcome what the story I wanted to tell.
Sure, and that's how you do that. That's how you do it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now the dream is dead. Now, what do they mean by this article? What is the point they're trying to push home here?
So the dream of Xavier has always been that, you would, the X-Men and mutant kind would be able to live peacefully with the rest of the people on Earth.
Can we all
And
just get along?
Can't we all just get along?
Going with the Martin Luther King, ideology, and here they're saying that Xavier is admitting no, that dream it's failed. It can't happen, kind of deal. And I think that's a bad message to have because one of the pillars of Xavier is always striving for that peace.
Well,
we know we won't be able to have it, but it's the striving for it, and that's just
one of hope.
Yeah,
it is one of hope. But as Denelli is kind of referencing there, one of the things we've seen happening, it's not just the bad art, it's not just all of the gender and racial swapping for no reason. It's not all of that. It's also the message, right? Because what they're trying to do is vilify the hero and make the villain heroic. This is what they have been doing for years. We see it in the movies as well, and it's like, no, we don't need to sympathize with the Joker. He's a homicidal, crazy, maniac murderer who just wants to see the world burn. That's it. Finished.
Right. Yeah, he's not a good guy.
No. And of course, this is just part of villainizing the hero. You can't have Xavier being this once again this Martin Luther King type of character who never gives up, never loses hope. They can't have that. They have to tear it down, of course. And that's one of the big problems with the modern zeitgeist, in my opinion. But so it's kind of sad, I guess.
Well, this may be deeper than you guys even remotely want to go with something like this, but it's my personal belief that I think there's a huge segment that does not believe in this thing called evil, and they don't think that evil is real. They don't think that evil exists, and I think that there's that attempt to try to say, well, nothing is really evil. Everybody is kind of, there's some gray in here. And I am one who firmly believes that there's good and evil. That's why I like my heroes to be heroes. Does that mean they're going to be perfect? Of course not, right? Heroes are fallible, but I want them to be heroes. I want them to strive, as you mentioned, strive to do the good and right thing.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Yeah, well,
in a hero.
No, absolutely. And of course, there are a lot of grays in life. It is true. But trust me, I was a bouncer for 12 years. There is absolutely evil, without
Yeah,
question. Right.
yeah. But there
And
are people who would probably argue with you, and I think we see some of that reflected in some of this entertainment. People trying to communicate that there's not evil, and I think that that's a wrong way to try to entertain, because I
mhm.
don't think it works, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I don't like when they say, "Oh, the villain, he's just misunderstood."
Right, right. Well,
Yeah,
now,
he's
now,
misunderstood.
now,
Oh, he's
Barb,
even.
now, Barb, you worked on X-Men, right?
I did not. I
You
never
didn't.
worked on X. The Marvel back in the day wasn't very excited to give women superheroes. DC had no problem with it, but
And neither did Malibu.
and neither did Malibu. Malibu was excellent to work for. They were very respectful. They treated me like gold.
Because
Marvel,
you got the chops. That's all
yeah,
that mattered. You got the chops.
Yeah.
I loved working for Marvel, but mostly they would give me Barbie and She-Hulk.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, that's kind of like Priest, right? He was so
I don't
upset, and
mean
he
to
was
laugh.
like, "All you want to do is give me black characters to do. Don't call me until you have something else for me," right? Christopher Priest,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And he, good on him from doing that, right?
yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's also Tucci said that when he was coming out with his She character in the early '90s, all the people he was trying to find a publisher for it, and all the people were saying, "No, no, females don't sell, females don't sell, females don't sell," and of course he proved them wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it is interesting that it was different back then. It certainly
It
was
was
different.
very different.
Yeah, yeah,
I have a tiny little Tucci story. You want to hear it?
sure.
You have time for it?
Okay, as
I
long
can I can hold on to it.
I know. No, Billy, I didn't say you were short, brother. I love you. He's calling you short, not me. You go ahead and tell your little Tucci story. Go ahead.
So back when I was an editor at Malibu, the editor in chief, Chris Ulm, brings in this stack of papers to me for artwork copies, and he said, "We need to find this guy some work." And it was Billy Tucci, and I looked through it. Of course, this is really good. And of course, this happens all the time as an editor. Someone will say, "Give this guy some work," and you're like, "Who would you like me to fire in order to give this person work?" Right? Because I don't have new books. I don't have, unless you're going to let me create a new title to give to this guy, I don't really have the work. Because I don't care. I don't care. Find a pin up, do something like that. But in all honesty, I don't think we ever ended up finding something. But he was on our list. He was on our like. We need to find some work for this guy.
Right.
And a year later, She came out, and that's all. That's all. So we never were able to get him a gig there at Malibu. But imagine what might have happened if we had placed him on a Malibu book. She might not have happened when it did.
Wow. So wow. Yeah. No, that's good you didn't then, because that was
Yeah,
quite the
yeah.
phenomenon when that came out for sure.
I don't think Billy even knows this story. I don't think I've ever told him that.
Love Billy. I love Billy.
Yeah, it's in here.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He's very entertaining fellow. But yeah, there was so many cool books that are coming out there, new interesting things. Another, other than She, like I said, I remember Cat and Mouse. There was so many. Another book I really liked that came out at that time was Grendel.
Oh yeah,
I
Matt Wagner's
loved
Grendel.
Grendel, man.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The funny thing is, the first time I saw a She comic, actually, my friend had given me a stack of comics, and in it was a Grendel's. First, he said, "You should check this out." So I went and I opened it up, but for somehow the cover of the Grendel had come off of the book, and it was wrapped around the She book. So when I opened up the Grendel, it was She sitting in front of me. And I was like, "What's this?" Right? So that's
Yeah,
how I was
yeah.
introduced to it, actually. But anyway, all right, let me move over to the next story here. This is the problem with chatting with you guys. We could go hours, man. It's not good. It's not.
Sorry.
It's not good. All right, and of course you're right, Nick C. Do the X-Men look heroic? No, they look angry and murderous. You are right. Now this is an interesting story here from Bleeding Cool.
Right. So Lion Forge in the book industry, found charity foundation, Blink, have got together to make a foundation or a grant of $100,000 to help retailers in need.
Yeah,
Awesome.
LCSs.
So
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. So that's pretty good, and that will include illness, death in the family,
Mhm.
emergencies, things that are unexpected because, as we've been seeing on Twitter and news everywhere, these retailers are slowing down one by one. And just recently, the other day, another retailer has shuttered their
Yeah.
doors.
Yeah.
So that's one less distributor
Yeah.
to go to. So,
I think this is a cool thing. I'm happy to see it, but it also feels like a little too late because in the past decade we've literally lost thousands of comic book stores,
Mhm.
not hundreds, not dozens, thousands. 4,000 something, I believe, is the count, running count, and
Yeah.
it's not good. And of course, Diamond catches a lot of flack for it, as they deserve. But it's not just them; it's also Marvel and DC and Image and IDW and their just constant stream of alternate covers and their tactics they use to get we've talked about this before ad nauseum, but
Mhm.
it's really sad, but it's a good thing. And of course, we got Gail Simone sitting here talking about it. We know we gave Gail a hard time, but Gail's an interesting lady because she at one moment she does something wonderful, and the next moment she does something horrible. I don't know. She's an interesting character at least. But yeah, it's cool though. It's good. Anybody have any comments on trying to help out comic book stores?
Better than too late than not at all.
Yeah, true.
I think one of the things that the comic stores have to realize is, you guys probably, I mean, I don't know, maybe you might disagree, but I think a lot of these channels like this exist because of the indie boom in the crowdfunding, right? Because of Indiegogo, because of Kickstarters.
That's right.
There is a real indie boom, and part of the problem is the indie boom is not really. For the most part, it's not really doing anything for the comic shop, unless of course they do like we mentioned earlier, and they get their books in the comic shop.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that we talked about earlier. Is like we all grew up on local comic shops, and I love the local comic shops, right? And so part of what we have, and I know you said we're going to look at some of them later, but one of our reward tiers is actually for retailers. It's like, look, if you're a retailer, here's how you can get in on these books. You order a little packet. Basically, essentially we're just giving these things away because we want them in their stores so they can have something that's an alternative to the stuff that's not selling on their shelves, meaning Marvel and DC, right?
Yeah. Well, no, and several, not everybody, but we do see a lot of people that do have the retailer option, which I think is a good thing.
Right.
But we actually had Dan Slott come out the other day and basically mocking the indie revival, which is ridiculous. How
Yeah.
many of these creators mock their fans? It's outrageous behavior. But of course, and his big part of his gotcha was that the indie revival is doing nothing to help in the LCSs, and it's a fair point. It is true. It's not helping them.
Yes.
But
But part of it is the creators and the stores have to work together to try to figure something out. The first time I ever did a Kickstarter, I mean, I didn't know, and I just reached out to a whole bunch of stores that I knew, and the response I got back was like, I don't support crowdfunding because it does nothing for my store. And I'm like, well, help me figure out how I can help you. And some of these, were some you would know I'm not going to mention their names. I'm not going to call them by names because they're good people. But some of them are just like, I can't do it because it doesn't help me any. I'm like, well, I want to do that. I want to be able to have what I'm doing still benefit you. So you got to help me brainstorm a little bit. Don't leave it all on me to figure out,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the distribution that we talked early on this show about. That's going to be the major problem and the major hurdle for this indie boom to build momentum. It's the distribution and connection with the retailer. Right now, we're still in that nebulous stage of, how do we do the crowdfunding? How do we build this model? And we know that the major weakness for this model is if we don't get the retailers involved, either through Diamond or through another distribution company or something like that, then, we're all going to fail. It's not going to be sustainable. So that's been something that I've been kind of harping upon on these shows as well. That's my main thing.
Well,
so,
I think you're right.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, and we've seen we've been asking for it and looking for people to do. We've seen a couple of people try to make a little bit of headway with. We saw Cautionary Comics. Of course, Ethan keeps talking about his all caps comics. You got Blacklist Universe from Mike, but I'm not seeing any progress. right? The only progress I've really seen is coming out of cautionary a little bit. But and it's not an easy thing to do. I get it. I get it. But it's we need it to go over that hump. This has been going on for about a year and a half, coming up on 2 years actually, I guess. So we really need to see someone step up and start doing those kind of distribution, attacking the distribution. But
Yeah.
yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to jump through these next two articles really, really quickly, and we're going to go back over to the Indiegogo guys. I think they're just worth looking at. Bill Murray shows up to someone's house and just starts singing.
Yep, student party house.
Bill
He
Murray.
just randomly pops up.
Yeah, how random. So let's go ahead and listen to it. Here we go. Here we go.
It's not the first time he's done something like this.
He just wanted a free beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll pop into people's weddings or whatever.
He does.
He's
He
an-
does. He's a weirdo
He
like
does
that.
because
Yeah.
it's part of the chive movement.
Is that what it is? He just wanted a free beer, I'm pretty sure. And then the next thing, I don't even know what to say about this. Now, Dinale put this up here because he knows I'm a tabletop RPG guy, a board gamer guy. And of course, we do, Bugbear's Basement, where we're running the Forgotten Realms Moonshade campaign going on right now. And I love this kind of thing, but it's like this seems like it's a serious thing, but then at the same time, it can't be. There's a Wendy's RPG. The world Beef's Keep is a wide open world waiting for you to explore it. Make the world your own, expand your adventures, and most importantly, buy Wendy's. Wait, we meant to say have fun also buy Wendy's. Okay. What is this? Beef's Keep? Stand against the frozen beef? No, come on. Come on.
Yeah, a free download. So you can play your own tabletop Wendy themed Dungeon and Dragon game.
God, man.
And buy some Wendy's.
But you see, it's a marketing play is what it is. But it's like they literally created something. So good on them, I guess. Good
Yeah.
on 'em.
That one image, the warrior there looks pretty good.
Yeah, Wendy.
It looks
The art-
great.
The
Yeah.
art looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. Wendy's kicking butt. Look at her. She's got to get some. Oh,
Jesus.
she's gonna
She got-
throw
she got
chili
the
bombs
That
at people.
sword.
Yeah, right. Very video game-esque. Let's see. Oven Reyes says Squirgle had a variant cover to trick Japanese customers, which was sad. Well,
What's up, Oven?
which is a very typical thing to go happen. But there have been several big mistakes here in Japan when it comes to Western comic books trying to force their way in here. They have not gone about it the right way. We had CB Cebulski over here for years, and he failed miserably. And in the end, he actually did make a comic over here that had some success, but it had nothing to do with Western things at all. It was based on a Japanese pop band, like an entertainment band. Yeah, they don't know how. And this, if I wasn't so busy, I would go over there and hammer a couple of those people in the head and tell them, hey, if you want to put comics in Japan, let me do it. Because they have no clue how to sell a comic book in Japan. They don't get it. They always make this mistake. They don't understand how the Japanese think, right?
Yeah.
And they're just going to keep doing it. They're going to keep throwing Spider-Man at them. They're going to keep throwing all these things at them. And they're fighting ninjas in Japan. The Japanese don't care much about ninjas unless it's done in the high school manner, right? Like Naruto. What is that? It's just like every other Japanese story, except for it's a ninja high school, right?
Right.
They just don't get it. And it's so frustrating to me to see they wasting their time like that. But anyway, let me jump back over here. Now, of course, guys, we take a look at it. I haven't showed the trailer because you guys know I always ask that question, right? Because I looked it over on the Indicom TV, and it is a good trailer. It's fine. So definitely get in there and check that out. Check out the whole page. But we want to take a look at their perks here. Now, the first perk, now this is Kickstarter, so I'm not. It's a little different, so we're just going to go straight down here. Now, what you have is a PDF, a digital, and we appreciate that for $4 too. It's a good price.
Yeah.
Now now some people are saying, whoa, that's cheap. Not really. Tell them how many pages are in the book, Roland.
Yeah, it's a 22-page comic. I mean, there's going to be lots of other stuff kind of added into it, but the comic book itself is 22 pages. It's the kind of thing that you would expect to go buy off the spinner rack.
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually a great price. I think it's really nice.
Yeah,
Because
we kicked it around a lot to come up with the price, and we think it's a good, fair price.
Sure. Well, people our age would kind of balk at a digital version being similar to the rack price, but
Right.
in this modern day, that's not the case. And I've had several Indiegogos on here who had the big 46, 80 page, 100 page, whatever, and they were selling them the digital super cheap. And I was like, why? It should be very
Yeah.
similar to your rack price, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But so that's good on you. Good on you for that. Then we come down here for $8. We're looking at the book, right?
Yeah, 1 and 2. For $8, the first one you looked at was for the second issue, right? Which is our new one.
Mhm.
And that way, if you got the first issue, you don't have to actually pay to get it again. But if you missed it, you can do the $8 level and get issues 1 and 2 together.
Yeah, see, that's a good price, guys. It's fair. Now, I think I asked this before, but I'm going to ask it again. You made sure to have shipping separate, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Because that will murder a project, dude. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
So we got a $10 one here. What's going on with this one?
So that's just the kind of the no frills. Just give me the book. I'm not sure that I want your autographs, and I don't want any extra stuff. Just give me the book. I want the book. Let me read it. But I want the print copy of it.
All right. Very good. And this got the Kickstarter only cover, which is a smart way to go
Yes,
about it, actually. Make the cover exclusive. That's smart.
it is. That's what
Yeah.
that's what it is.
And then we
Yeah,
have
the only way you're going to be able to get the cover is if you support the Kickstarter exclusive. That doesn't mean we won't ever make the cover as a print or run it as a pinup in the book. But if you want that image as the cover, the only way you're going to be able to do it is excuse me, to support the Kickstarter.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Good idea. Now I see there's a retro indie edition for $13.
Yep. Yep. And what this is, you still get the regular edition, right? But you also get the retro indie edition. And retro indie edition is basically because me and Barb and Dean initially, we all got our start as a result of the 1980s indie boom. So this is it's a black and white comic, and it's going to look like the comics you used to get in the 1980s from the indie revolution then.
Sweet. Very nice. Very nice. And
Yep.
that's only in the States, though.
That's correct. That's correct. It only shipping in the States.
Ooh.
And it's we talked about it once before. It's just shipping outside of the U.S. It's just so outrageous. And
It is.
the
Yeah.
truth is, if someone really wants to say, hey, I live in Germany. I really want the print copy. I will get your address from you, and I will. Of course, we're kind of down to the wire now, but I'll get the address from you. I'll send it to my fulfillment people and say, hey, how much is it going to cost to ship this level of rewards to this address? They come back and tell me, and I'll let you know this is how much it's going to cost. If you really want to pay the shipping cost, then I'll do it for you. But it's a lot of money.
It is. It is. And to be fair, though, I don't really think you have enough leather in this book to sell in Germany anyway.
No, no, I don't think so either.
No. So tell me, what is a graphite edition? What exactly is that?
So a graphite edition, when I first heard it, it had to be explained to me as well. So Dean Zachary is a big fan of Jim Lee, who's not, right? But one of his favorite things that Jim Lee did was the Hush Unwrapped, and I hadn't even seen it when he mentioned it. So I went to look at it. If you're not familiar with the Hush Unwrapped, all that is the entire story, but it's printing Jim Lee's pencils, fully lettered, all the sound effects, all that good stuff, but it's Jim Lee's pencils only. And this is something that Dean wanted to do for the first issue, and it went over really well. So we just decided, hey, let's do it again. People seem to like it. We'll give them the option to get a graphite edition, and you get to see all of the pencils that will be lettered and with the sound effects. So it's a whole story. It's just in pencil.
I get. So maybe our generation would call it the lead edition.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Dean, Barb will close her ears for a minute. Dean's an artist, So he has to come up with these really artsy fartsy terms. Roland, this is the graphite edition. I'm like, oh, it's a pencil edition. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I get it. Yeah, yeah, these modern young kids and their fancy pencils.
That's right.
We got ourselves one for the Yeah, go ahead, Slick.
Should be get the let out edition.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
just thinking that.
Goodness gracious. Roland, I don't know if you've checked it out, but Slick Jimmy here, he had his Little Girl Lethal book successfully found crowdfunded, by the way. I don't know if you've checked it out, but you might want to because that's a fabulous looking book, man.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, make sure you give me the link. Send me the link. Put it in the comments there. That way I can come back and check it out and check out the book. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, and we got a couple of them here. George as well, who hasn't said much today, and I think he's just in a bad mood. But
No,
George also,
I'm in a good mood.
you are in a good mood. And
You guys might, if I think you may recall, there was a comic book called The Black Diamond Effect back in the early '90s.
The black what?
The Black Diamond Effect.
Oh, okay, yeah. Was that you?
That's me.
Cool.
And
I probably have a copy of it right in that box right there, or one of those boxes. Those are some of my indie books there.
Mm-hmm. Well, George has this currently going on. He has his Joe King thing, and that's a big book too, isn't it?
It's 120 pages.
Yeah,
wow,
it's a monster. Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah, it is really big. But we got our retailer one here. We already talked about that.
Yep.
We got this here is signed with extras. Ooh, you're going to sign stuff. You going to make Barb sign it?
Absolutely.
Now, how you going to manage that, dude?
So they're signature cards.
Okay,
and literally what we do is we just send them, Barb signs them, repackages them up, sends them to the next guy. And we'll just, all four of us will I'll be the last one to sign. They'll print them and ship them straight. Kevin will probably go first. But then I'll be the last one to get it. I can sign them, and the printer that I'm using is here local. And so I'll just take them down there to them and make sure everything is in good shape and everything's ready to roll. But yes, absolutely, you will get me, Kevin, Barb, and Alex all to sign the signature card for you.
Well, I'm glad you're starting with Kevin because he's got beautiful penmanship. You, not so much.
No, I don't.
Okay, but that's cool. Okay, so we get signed edition. That's quite a popular thing to do as well. And then down here, I think we have the ubiquitous 2-in-1. Is that what this is? No, this is a mouse earrings. This is a new one. Okay. I didn't see this last time. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that one's been added. You get for the mouse earrings, you get the mouse earrings, and then of course everything that is at the $25 level. The $25 level is kind of it's kind of the sweet spot. And so for all of these rewards that you're about to show after this one, you get that piece of art or that thing, in this case, the mouse earrings, plus all of the stuff that comes at the $25 level.
So yeah, this is a new one. And ubiquitous means expected and mandatory.
Okay.
Okay. Original art commission. Now we see this a lot in many projects. Go ahead.
Yep. There's 2 left. Alex has said that as far as trying to meet our timeline here, he says I think I can get 6 of them done, and so we've got 2 spots left. Alex will do a commission of any character that you want. If you want him to do Spider-Man, he'll do Spider-Man. Batman. If you've got your original character, he'll do that. Obviously, we would love to see you have him do a commission from Cat and Mouse because that's what we're promoting. But he'll do a commission of your choice, and there are 2 of those left.
Sweet. All right. Very nice. Very nice. We're coming into a $75 one now. We're getting into original art here. This one is art from Mike Belcher. Next one is from Macmillan and Nichols, which are working together, of course, pencils and inks. And then we have another one here. It's a little more expensive, but this is from Sarabia and Kalberg, of course, who we're talking to right now. And we have another bigger one here, which is from Jamie Jones, $200 for his cover.
Yeah, Jamie just finished a successful Kickstarter for his big graphic novel called The Baboon. So the piece that he has given to us to use for this is the baboon with cat and mouse.
Awesome.
And it's a nice looking piece. Yeah, there's some really I mean, we've had some. I saw you almost peek down there. There's a lot of really good original art gone, but there's still some decent pieces left, including the one that Barb inked with Alex Sarabia, which is the first available piece for the project that she's working on. Barb's putting together a new project called Divinity, and she is co-writing that and obviously inking that. And this is the first available piece that will feature those characters. So,
well, I'm glad to see so much of these original covers got picked up, dude, because these aren't available. I'm just scrolling through them really quickly myself.
right.
But it's really cool to see you had so much interest in that. That's nice. Now, of course, you guys know the reason why I'm kind of speeding through things is I have another show to get in line here in 15 minutes, so I need to go.
Okay.
Because I actually run the drone recorder here in about 45 minutes, and that's herding cats. Is kind of an understatement. But nevertheless, thank you guys very much for coming in and joining us today, guys. This is a great looking project with a lot of nostalgia. There's some actual industry people involved in this. Go over and check it out at a minimum, and I'd say back it. I mean, you can get a PDF version for basically nothing, and of course, but get the physical one, right? And back
Yeah.
this project. But definitely go check it out at a minimum. Please at least share it out, guys. The links have been dropped the whole time in here in the chat. Just go over and support these guys. We want to see more cat and mouse for sure. Now, let me just go through here real quick. Slick Jimmy, is your book still available, or are you completely in just trying to get it out to the folks right now? Slick?
I'm currently in demand on Indiegogo.
You
can
are.
go find me there. That's a Little Girl Lethal. If you like crazy action, sexy stuff, ultra violence, you're gonna dig Little Girl Lethal. This is not for children. Just
No.
just a reminder.
It is definitely not for children at all. Matter of fact, the most dangerous person in the book is a child. Watch out. Sugar Lightspeed,
Well,
baby.
she's of age, but yeah.
You
she
say, sir.
You can keep whatever lolly fantasies you have. That's fine.
No, I love it. It's a great looking book, guys. And of course, what a great name, Sugar Lightspeed. Of course, you guys know that George is in the process right now, getting his book out. So he's no longer in demand with Joe King, but I'm sure he'll have stuff coming out in the future. But of course,
No, I have a direct store now. I
oh, you
shut
do.
down the Indiegogo store. It has a link when you go to it. It'll take it to the direct store, but you don't get the prices that you got at Indiegogo.
Yeah, well, of course, of course. So there you go. You can still get Joe King from George. But once again, thank you very much for everybody coming in here. It's awesome. Do keep in mind that tomorrow is our day off, but we'll be back with Fan Speak on Saturday, and of course, this week is Flat Earth Part 2 on TFT Tinfoil Talk. I want to thank you
On
very
Sunday.
much on Sunday. Yes, I want to thank you very much, Roland, for coming in. I want to thank you, Barb, for coming in. It's been an honor. We really love the look of the book, and I really hope you guys have nothing but success on top of success. So definitely check it out, guys. And yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
very much.
us.
I don't know, absolutely, man.
Thank
And you are welcome. And Denali, it's time.
All right. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Barb and Roland, for being our guests today. But always remember, your perception shapes your reality. So always make it a good one.
Namaste.
Namaste.
All right. Later, guys.
Gesundheit.
Aloha.